99.7 Bridge FM, Great Rock Variety. It's 17 minutes past 8. Well, what an Olympic Games it was for our athletes in Paris. And one of the shining lights at the Games was our Aussie Stingers water polo team, who claimed the silver medal, narrowly going down to Spain in the gold medal match. And leading from the front for the Stingers was local talent Alice Williams, who I'm pleased to say joins us now. Good morning, Alice.
Morning, Scott. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. I can't wait to talk about your journey and experience at the Olympic Games this year, but every journey does have a backstory. You're a local Brizzy girl. Whereabouts did you grow up?
I grew up in Ashgrove on the north side.
Perfect. Worst places to grow up. You love being a local Brizzy girl?
Yeah, love it. I mean, my whole family's here, so I've been here literally my whole life, and I absolutely adore it.
And how did you first get introduced to the sport of water polo?
Well, when I was younger, we had a family friend who played. She's about 10 years older than me. She played in the National League here. So we'd go and watch her every Thursday afternoon. And I just kind of fell in love with it in the first session that I tried it out. So, yeah, I was pretty lucky that I fell into it.
Yeah, now the sport, quite physical, isn't it? From the contact that happenings to the fitness that you need to have to compete at a high level. How tough is the sport on the body?
Oh, it's super tough. Like, it's such a high contact sport that, I mean, there are injuries such as like overuse injuries because we have to use our shoulders so much. But then there's also contact injuries, which I've suffered more of. So yeah, it's pretty physically demanding.
A lot of it seems to happen under the water where you can't quite see it on the cameras. I think I saw some of the shots. You might have posted something at the Olympics. Scratch marks, bruises. There's quite a lot going on under the water during the game, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. The refs can't see under the water, and you can't really ref under the water either. So anything that happens there, you get away with, and people can absolutely get away with murder. So yeah, it's brutal.
Wow. Now, you were first selected for Australia back in 2017 as a teenager. That's quite some feat in its own. What were the emotions like when you first got the call to represent your country?
I think it was shock. I didn't really think or expect to make a team, especially that young. But I was also so excited because I looked up to those girls for so long, and then they were my peers. So, yeah, excitement, nerves, definitely as well. But yeah, definitely shocked.
Now, you had a few challenges in your career after making your debut in 2017. Made it back to the Aussie team for the 2023 World Champs in Fukuoka. But how tough of a period was that for you in your career after making your debut?
It was definitely quite difficult. I mean, I was amongst the squad for the Tokyo Olympics, but I got deselected right before then. So that was a bit of a blow, and it took a lot for me to come back to the sport. I was thinking about not coming back. And then I actually did get selected for the 2022 World Championships team.
Yeah, right.
But a week beforehand, I broke my hand.
Oh.
So that period was pretty difficult for me because I got deselected, and then I actually did get selected later on, but then broke my hand. So it was all kind of a bit of an emotional period for me. So the 2023 World Champs was huge because it was kind of like, finally, I've actually made it healthy and selected to a tournament.
Yeah, talking with Alice Williams from the Aussie Stingers water polo team this morning. Now, you mentioned that World Champs in 2023, and it was quite the tournament for you. I think you were selected in one of the all-star teams from that competition. How was the confidence after that World Championships? And with the Olympics in Paris just a year away, how important was that competition for you, and did that sort of reset your goals leading into Paris in 2024?
Yeah, I think it did. We had a lot of tough games at that World Championships as a team, and it was a really good learning opportunity for us so close to the Olympics of what we thought that we needed and what changes we needed as well. So it was a huge wake-up call for us. I think we did pretty well. We came fourth, but there were just a few mistakes that we'd made along the way that we knew that we would have to polish before 2024 came around. But then on a personal note, it was huge. Being able to compete with people on the international stage is always really difficult. There are so many amazing athletes. So to be named in the media all-star team was definitely a feather in my cap.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the Olympics this year, 2024. Firstly, where were you when you found out you were going to be selected? And I'm sure the emotions would have been there. I had a look on your Instagram page, the little video that you put up when you were calling your parents, your family, and your friends to tell them that you got selected. That must have been something really special.
Yeah, I think because I had made the call to them in 2021 when I missed out. This time around, I was like, I'm in my bedroom, I'm alone, no one is in the house, because I knew how it felt for it to go the way that I didn't want. So when I did get the phone call saying I'd been selected, it was just immediately a FaceTime to my whole family, crying, being like, oh my God, I've made it. Like, it was crazy. But we weren't allowed to tell many people. Obviously, it has to stay under wraps until it's announced 2 weeks later. So you're only allowed to tell, like, family and your closest friends. So keeping it a secret was really difficult. I felt like I was bursting at the seams. But, it was incredible. Like, there's nothing like it.
Well, so you finally got the ticket. We're heading over to Paris. You get over there. I'm sure there would have been high hopes at that stage. But before it all started, take us through what it's like in the Olympic Village. There was a lot of talk around beds made out of cardboard, no air conditioning and everything like that. But how was the atmosphere and staying there at the Village?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's very overwhelming. I think we try to prepare for it with our team psychologist beforehand, but just nothing can really, truly prepare you. You're walking around and there's famous people everywhere, like all these phenomenal athletes, like, are right next to you, and you're kind of like, oh my God, like, I want to get a photo with you, but I also want to act really cool because, like, you know, you could want a photo with me too, like, I'm here to tell. But, like, obviously that's not the case. But yeah, the cardboard beds were something else. We are lucky in the Australia building that they got us mattress toppers, so it was actually, like, relatively comfortable. But yeah, it was such an overwhelming experience. I had to, like, really calm my excitement levels many, many times.
Who's the most famous you saw over there in the Village?
Well, we were right next to the Serbia building, so Novak Djokovic was right next to us, and I was like, oh my God. But then also for me, it was more so the Australian athletes. Like, we had, like, Alex de Minaur walking around, and, you know, the Jess Fox, Noemi Fox, those girls came in. I was, like, starstruck. It was so exciting.
Wow, what a memory that would have been alone. But the Olympic campaign for the Stingers, just unbelievable. Undefeated through the tournament, making your way through to the gold medal match. But you had to fight pretty hard for some of your victories in the round games, and particularly in the semi-final against the heavyweights in the USA.
Yeah, I mean, we had 3 penalty shootouts out of 7 games, and that is not normal in water polo. Like, usually we get it done in normal time. So it was definitely stressful, but also it made the win so much sweeter as well. Like, you know, you put everything into it, and it had to come down to penalty shootouts. Like, it's pretty crazy.
How are you personally going into that gold medal match? The nerves, the confidence, like you said, 3 penalty shootouts on the way through. It kind of felt like everything was lining up for the Stingers, just the rub of the green was going your way. But just personally going into a massive match like that, how are the nerves?
I'm always nervous before a game. So before the gold medal game, I felt sick. Like, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, how have I gotten to this point? Like, I was freaking out. Like, but at the same time, all my teammates are next to me feeling the exact same, and we all react differently to it. Like, I know the teammates that I go to when I'm feeling particularly nervous that make me feel calm.
Yep.
Because the way that their nerves manifest is them just being super tranquil, which is bizarre to me because I'm, like, pinging off a wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very nervous, like, really almost like, oh God, like, this is the biggest, you just know that it's the biggest game of your life. So, and all eyes are on you. Like, all of Australia was watching, all of Spain. Like, it was just, the pressure was insurmountable.
Yeah, chatting with Alice Williams from the Aussie Stingers water polo team this morning. Now, unfortunately, Spain got the job done, but really tight contest. 11-9 was the final score. You personally couldn't have done anything more in the pool. You scored 5 goals in the final. What were the emotions like afterwards? Couldn't quite get the job done. Personally, had a pretty good game, but talk us through right after there at the full-time whistle.
It was devastating, honestly, but you don't really have time to deal with it. You have 10 minutes to go get out of the pool, put your podium outfit on, and then you're waiting in a call room in between two teams that have just won. So we're right next to the gold medal winning team, who are obviously over the moon, and then the bronze medal winning team, who couldn't have had a medal at the end of the day but did. So they're obviously stoked. You're somewhere in between, gutted that you've just, your dream has just slipped away from you, but also knowing that you have to put on a smile because these photos are going to be forever. And, obviously everyone's really proud of you. They're not thinking what you're thinking. Like, in that moment, I was so disappointed. I wasn't proud of myself because it wasn't the performance that we wanted to put on. And you have to kind of suck it up and think, you know what, like, I'll deal with this later. Right now, I have to put a smile on and get my medal and go and see my family.
Yeah. Now, after it all washed up, got through that really tough medal ceremony. Couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, did you get that opportunity to sort of sit back and reflect on what you did? You ended up being the top goal scorer for the whole Olympic campaign across all countries, and also recently nominated for a World Player of the Year as well. All those trials, tribulations that you've had in your career to lead up to this point, have you been able to reflect now and sort of look back pretty fondly on what's been a pretty big 2024 for your career?
I'm still kind of in the throes of it. Like, it's been, I think, 4 months now since our last game, and there are moments where I do kind of reflect and think about, oh my gosh, that was amazing. But then there's still moments where I think that was disappointing and devastating. And with, like, the personal accolades, like, I think maybe in years to come I'll look back and, give myself a pat on the back. But for now, it's kind of more so a reflection, I believe, of my team and my teammates, because you're not going to be nominated for any of these things without the hard work of the people around you. It's not an individual sport. So I'm also put down, like, highest goal scorer. I wouldn't have gotten any of those goals if my teammates hadn't have set it up, So I'm also put that down to the effort of my phenomenal teammates and my coaching staff. Like, really, they got me to where I am personally. Oh,
very humble. What's next for Alice Williams? 2032, there's an Olympics right here in your backyard, the place where you grew up. You're still quite young in your career. Birthday on Christmas Eve, I did see as well. That must be a special one, but young enough. Is the Brisbane Olympics on your radar?
Look, I think so. As an athlete, that's such a rare opportunity to have an Olympics in your hometown. So, of course, it's definitely something that I do think about. I do go year by year, though, so I'm looking at LA 2028, but as long as I'm happy and healthy each year, then I'll still continue to work towards that. Hopefully for Brisbane 2032, because how could you miss up that opportunity? But, it'll be a year-by-year process for me.
Well, Alice, I really appreciate your time. This was such an awesome insight that you've been able to provide our listeners on your Olympic campaign. All the best for the future. We got our fingers crossed for you. Hopefully you can make it to 2032 for our home Olympic Games. Thanks for joining me this morning on Saturday Breakfast.
Thank you so much, Scott.